All right. So I thought we would kind of start back towards the beginning of Michael's career and kind of work our way forward. I did a little bit of research, Michael,
Okay.
um, and he can jump in as we go along here. So tell us about your swimming career when you were 10 and under. Were you one of those like killer, crazy, super crazy
Not
fast
at
10 and unders?
not at all. I remember I started swimming for the Aurora Sharks. It was a YMCA team. Um, I wouldn't say I was the fastest kid by any mean. Um, I don't know. I mean, I just kept swimming, and then I don't really remember a whole lot of swimming until I was like probably 11, when things started to click a little bit more. But I know I definitely wasn't the fastest kid when I was 10 and under.
All right. So I heard you were pretty good when you were 10 and under. What about your 11-year-old year? So you were on bullets when you were 11.
Yeah.
Tell me what practices were like for you when you were 11 years old.
Um, I think when I was 11, that's when things started to click together. I don't know. I just like practices just started I started to have more like good practices in a row, and I would like kind of took them more serious.
Where were
Um,
you? Where were you before that? Where did you practice in your lane? Were you at the front of the lane, the back of the lane, just going through the
I was
motions?
definitely back in the lane.
So I'm sorry, you
I was
broke up.
kind of I was definitely in the back of the lane. I definitely like messed around a little bit more at practice. Like before I was 11. I mean, even when I was 11, I still did, but I kind of stopped a little bit more. Took it more serious. So
And then when you were turning 12, the word about you had been, the kid's talented, but he just doesn't work. Then all of a sudden, there was some kind of metamorphosis. And what happened when you started at 12 and 13, going from there? What changed for you?
I don't know. I remember when I was 12 at the beginning of the season, we had a meet at Marmion, and I like it was the 200 IM, and I just like I won, but I dropped like 8 seconds, and that's whenever like or some like amount of time, and everything start like, and then I was just like, okay, like I'm like this is like the I can actually do this a little bit more seriously, and I don't know, like things just started to click, and then when I was 12, like I won a couple of races at the age group state meet, and then when I was 13, 13 was a little bit of a transition just because like moving up into a different age group, but it was fun to race people that were ahead of me. So
So, you were good when you were 10, 11, that kind of thing. And 12, 13, you really started to kind of become one of the most productive swimmers in the state, let alone on bullets. Um, is there one thing you could attribute that to as a practice? Did you go from the back of the lane to the front of the lane?
yeah, I would say I just like I stopped messing around in practice. I started paying attention to what the coaches had to say, and started taking it more serious. And that's just comes from that I wanted to win more in swimming. Like I wanted, I hated to lose. So that's just a competitive nature for me. But I knew in order to do that, I had to listen to the coaches more often. So
Awesome. The quote I got from one of your coaches was that eventually you started to find a way to do a little bit of extra in practice,
hmm
find a way to add something extra into what you were doing, and that made all the difference in the world for you. So tell me about your high school swimming experience. How was swimming in high school?
well, I never swam for my high school team. I
Wait,
swam club all 4 years.
and you were still successful?
Yeah, I was still successful.
I think that's
Um,
fantastic.
I know it's crazy.
But my point
Um,
here is there's different paths for different people. So it's
a hundred
great that you
percent.
were able to do that.
100%. And I don't really think I missed. I mean, obviously, I've heard from a lot of my friends about how awesome high school swimming is, and I'm sure it
Hmm.
is for some people. But
Absolutely.
I don't think I missed a whole lot of staying on the with my club team all 4 years. I think I got an awesome experience and everything, so I don't think I missed out a whole lot on that. But high school swimming, yeah, I stayed on my club team all 4 years. I don't know. It was fun. It was, every kind of like when the girls were in high school season, it was just swimming with the guys. Like that, it presented its own challenges. But then when the guys left, like I had to find different ways to push myself. So I think that's kind of where um, I got a little bit creative with what I was doing, like in practice, to try to just figure out different ways to get better when there was nobody really else there to help push me along.
So what would you like? Can you give an example of what you would do to push yourself? I mean, you had Alexis Yeager in the pool, you had Bano. Um,
Right.
but what kind of things would you do?
Well, I know, like, so one day I remember this specifically was like I was just having a hard time being motivated to practice, and my Todd kind of noticed, and so he put Jaeger in front of me and told me to go 10 seconds back, and the goal of the set was for me to catch her every single time, and so that's and because he just knew that I was a competitive person, so he played towards my strengths and practice
Sure.
a lot, and so like whenever I was like a little bit unmotivated to do stuff, he would do things like that, which really helped also.
Nice. So, in the progression of swimming, I mean, obviously you start with age, regionals, age group state,
Hmm.
senior state, um, and actually, you guys should know that there's going to be something coming out about time progressions in the near future in Boyd's Academy in the next week or two. Um, but one of the upper level goals when you get to the senior level is NCAA qualifying for NCSA Junior Nationals. You
Hmm.
remember when you first qualified for that? How old you were and what event it was?
Yeah, I do. I was 14. It was the week before age group state. It was at senior championships, and I made it in the 200 fly. I think I was like 154.58 or something like that. I remember I only swam the prelims at senior champs. I got eighth, I think, and then I got the cut, so that was it. That was the only goal of that going to that. So
Nice. So, what is club? Looking back on club, what was your favorite meet? Like what meet did you look forward to the most?
forward to the most. I don't know. I mean, and like age group state was always fun when I was younger, but then obviously NCSA's was always a good time. Like always traveling down to Florida, having a good meet for a week, and then going to like Orlando or going to Universal that Sunday was always a good time, and just being around with all my friends on the team and stuff. So I don't know. I think it was between those two.
Sure. So you had kind of an interesting dynamic, a family dynamic. You lived with your dad.
Hmm.
He worked a lot, trying to
Hmm.
take care of you really well. I feel like it made you a
Hmm.
lot more independent. Can you touch on that a little bit? Like, you kind of have to fend for yourself a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like like when I was in middle school, it was my dad, and then it was just my sister and I. So like between driving me to practice and like home and stuff and everything, like I kind of had to like do a lot of things by myself, so my dad could focus on my sister also, and like while also working and everything. And then like so once I got to high school and I could drive, I kind of just like started doing my own thing with like taking myself to practice and stuff. So
Was it hard to motivate yourself? I'm sure your dad wasn't knocking on your door telling you to get up to go to morning practice.
well, so he did wake me up whenever when he had to drive me for morning practices, like my eighth grade through sophomore year before I got my car. And then once I got my car, I did notice that I stopped going to some morning practices when I normally would because he would make me go. So it definitely was a little bit harder to motivate myself, but I don't know. I liked it a lot whenever I could drive myself.
So before we move into a little bit more of the accolade type stuff and meet qualifications, it hasn't always been a rosy road for you. It hasn't. Everything hasn't doesn't go perfect. In someone's swimming career, it's not linear. It's not just straight line up.
Oh.
There's bumps in the road. Now, I didn't
Hmm.
witness this bump, but I'm going to put you and Todd on the spot right here. Um, I believe I heard about a time where you might have gotten so upset that there might have been some screaming at Todd, and you were done, and you were going to quit swimming or quit bullets, or can you talk about maybe the adversity of a situation like that?
Yeah,
And then we're
definitely.
going to get hold on. Then we're going to get Todd's perspective.
Okay.
He didn't know this was
Uh,
coming, by the way.
um, I know. I think that was June. I think it was somewhere in the beginning, like beginning of the summer, end of the school year, and it was like start like we were in long course season and trials was coming up, and I was just getting really frustrated because I wasn't swimming that well in terms of like the meets we were doing long course, and just like the one of the biggest challenges of growing up in Illinois and swimming is that there's a limited access to long course pools. And so like in my head, like I wasn't swimming that well at the meets we were going to, and like we weren't getting a lot of long course time. So like I guess I was just nervous for trials coming up that summer because it's the biggest meet in the country. So I just wanted to make sure I was ready for it, and I was nervous that I wasn't going to be ready for it. So there was, I was nervous, and I said some things, and it happened. So
That seem about right, Todd?
I don't even remember half of it.
yeah, I don't really.
Honestly, with Michael, and it probably happened because Michael said it at the beginning. Michael was, or is, I apologize for saying was, because you still are this way, even when we talk about random things. Michael is probably the most competitive person I've ever met as a swimmer. He absolutely hates to lose, to the point where I still get texts from Michael when the Cowboys play the Patriots, because even though he knows his team is definitely inferior to mine, he still has to push my buttons because he just always wants to win. And am I wrong? So that was just how he approached everything. And if he wasn't winning, and not because he wasn't doing it, if he wasn't winning, he took that personal. Like, he just took everything like, it was a competition. He always wanted to win, and he was going to do whatever it took to win. I think he sold himself short. The things he would do at practice, like it's that simple. He hated to lose. I would challenge him, not the 10 seconds. I would challenge him to change strokes and do backstroke while everybody else was doing freestyle. And I would say, you have to win. And, he was going to do everything he possibly could to get his hand on the wall, to the point where he would get mad if people he would be mad at his teammates, not in a mean way, but like angry if they were beating him, like he wasn't doing enough. That was just his personality. So I'm sure when that happened, it probably was before trials, because that was a summer. He was a senior. We didn't have a lot of long course meets. The meet was in June, so it wasn't going to be as much prep as we'd had in previous seasons when it was July or August when we were swimming a championship meet. As a senior, there's a million other things going on. You're graduating, you're dealing with prom. So his mind, where he was always so focused, it probably being torn a couple different ways. And I'm sure he got mad. But I remember him going to trials and going to best time at trials. So he obviously was able to fix that. One of the 18% that actually did go best times at trials was Michael. So, yeah.
So Todd, I'm going to ask you the next question. You and I spoke about Michael before this earlier, and one of the things you mentioned was he not only led by example, but he was a good verbal leader. Can you expand on that a little bit for these guys?
Yeah, I don't know if this person's on the call. I saw some alumni jumped on, but I will tell you that the person that probably loved and hated Michael Milinovich the most in practice was Will Camps. So for those people that know Will Camps, how much younger than you is? Is he 2 years younger than you?
Yeah, 2 years.
He's 2 years.
2 years.
Will was a freshman when Michael was a junior, and Michael would make it his just absolute goal every day to push Will. And he would push Will's buttons. He would push Will to go first. He would push Will to the point where he would try and lap Will to make Will mad. And he would call Will out when Will wasn't working as hard. He'd praise Will when Will was. He was, and it sounds odd that way, but relentless about it. I mean, he just made it a point of he wanted everyone to work as hard as they could, or as hard as he was, because he knew everybody would be better that way. And you would think you hear someone like that, or you hear the things that he did in practice. And if for the older swimmers that are listening, I mean, we would go through 15 200s, and he probably at that age in high school could go 15 200s on 2 minutes without a problem when he was in high school. I'm sure he probably did that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And people, you would hear that and you would think, wow, who wants to be in a lane with a guy who's going 15 on 2 minutes? And they wanted to, because they knew it was a challenge. They knew Michael would challenge them, and it was just the way that he handled the practices and the way that he handled his teammates. So, and as evident by the fact that all these alumni are actually on to talk to him, you can see what they actually thought about him. And I think the people that are actually on here aren't even the same age as Michael. I think they're all younger. So they're all swimmers that looked up to Michael when Michael was there. So that kind of tells you what his impact was on them.
So Michael, what do you think in your life helped you become such a good leader for others?
Can you repeat that again?
What during your life, during your maturation, made you such a good leader for others to want to help others get better?
Um, I don't know really. I would put that a lot on my dad, just like helping me and like showing me, and like when I would talk to him about how frustrated I would get with like some people not like trying their hardest in practice or whatever, he would tell me to encourage them. And so like I started to listen to him a little bit more, and I would encourage them, and I noticed that it helped, so I just kept doing it, I guess.
Awesome. So let's jump back to the good stuff here. Interesting fact: in 2016, Michael qualified for Olympic trials in the 400 IM. Is that correct?
Yes.
He was one of only 2 high school boys in Illinois to qualify for Olympic trials that year, which is quite the accomplishment considering the number of swimmers. 400 IM.
Was,
Wow.
was the other person Daniel Hine? I think it was
Was it who?
Daniel Hine.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
400 IM. That had to be a final swim, right? Had to get geared up to swim fast at night.
No, I made it in the morning.
Wait, you mean you swam fast in the morning?
I did.
Like
I
it's
actually
important to swim fast in the morning. You can achieve goals then.
yes.
I'm
Yes.
making light of this, guys, because a lot of us like to sandbag it a little bit, swim fast at night, but that wasn't Michael's way. Michael got up and swam fast. He might go faster at night, but he got up and swam fast in the morning. Talking to us about the trial swim,
Yeah,
qualifying
so
swim.
I mean the whole year leading into it, I mean it started the short course season before the next long course season that I made it. But the goal of that whole year was to make Olympic trials in the 400 IM, like Todd and I discussed, and we decided that was going to be our best shot. And so when the day finally came at NCSA's in the summer for the 400 IM, like I just didn't hold back for it at all, and I kind of went for it. And I know on the freestyle leg coming back the last 50 meters, I could see everybody was like jumping up and down on the side and cheering and stuff. So I kind of figured I was right on it. But then I touched the wall and I saw I was like 2 seconds underneath it. I was pretty happy. So, but yeah, no, that was all in the morning.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us about your trials experience.
Trials was good. No, I was the first heat of the first race on the first day. So
And how'd you do?
I don't remember the first half of the race. I remember being about hearing the start, and then like next thing I know I was kind of doing breaststroke. But I mean it was an awesome experience swimming in front of that many people, and then also just seeing like the level of swimming at that meet too. So
Did you time trial anything at that meet?
I believe I time trialed the 200 fly twice, I believe. Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and a lot of fun. Just like I was kind of mad that I didn't qualify in more than one event, so I could swim like later during the week. But I'm glad that they had time trials, because being able to swim more than the first time at trials
Sure.
after the nerves have calmed down, it's better. So
Awesome. Awesome. So Wisconsin, what drew you to Wisconsin in the recruiting process?
yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it was the team made me feel like I was home while on my training trip, or not my training trip, my recruiting trip, and it was also 2 hours away from my house now. So, just like being able to be close to home and Madison feeling like an extension of home, like it just kind of felt like the right place to be. And the team, I seemed to get along really well with everybody on my team on my trip. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, speaking, you mentioned training trip by mistake right there, but
Yeah.
where does Wisconsin go every year for their training trip?
So the first 3 years we went to Hawaii.
Oh, did they change it?
Yeah. So we got a new coaching. We got a new coaching staff 2 years ago.
Sure.
And so with the new coaching staff, Yuri, he decided that the women's team would still go to Hawaii with the women's coaching staff, and the men's team
Sure.
would go to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs with coaches, or the male, and great time. I know. I mean, I kind of missed Hawaii, but I mean, if anybody's been to the Olympic Training Center, they know that that place is to some people just as good. So I really enjoyed my time at the Olympic Training Center this past year. So I can't really complain too much.
That's awesome. So halfway through college, you had to deal with the coaching change. How was that? How was that transition?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting transition. I remember it was the first day of spring break, and I woke up. Well, it was the first day of spring break and the last day of men's NCAA's. And I woke up and I saw like a swim article about how Whitney was leaving Wisconsin, and so like that next like 2.5, 3 months, it was kind of like the whole team was kind of in limbo. Like there was no set head coach, and so like the assistant coaches at the time were acting as like interim head coaches, but there was like nobody really there to enforce anything. So it's kind of weird. But then the university was fortunate enough to be able to bring Yuri here, who's done an amazing job at filling the assistant roles with excellent coaches as well. And then, he's done really great things for the program so far. So
That's awesome. So in college, could you explain to them what it means to make the travel team? Let some of these younger athletes know what it means in college to make the travel team.
right. So each conference, I think, is different with how many people can make the travel team. I'm not sure for sure on the rules on that. But I know, so like my freshman and sophomore year, we had probably around like 8 dual meets a year, whereas versus my junior and senior year, we probably had like 4 or 5. But like, we would travel to like Georgia or North Carolina to race NC State or Texas. And not everybody would just be able to go because there are some rules, and there's, it's at that point, it's like a university paying for you to go. So like there are some budget things to consider. So there's like the travel team, and that's like for some conferences, I think it's like 18 people, and it's just the best 18 people in the team that can score the most points.
So did you make the travel team every year?
I did. My freshman year was actually the first year. I remember the team telling me that they've actually had to have a travel team because before that, Wisconsin was kind of a smaller team, so they never had to worry about numbers. But my freshman year was the first year we were over, and I was fortunate enough to make the travel team my freshman year. So
Interesting. Did you what were your? It's usually 3 events people swim in college, 3 main events. What were your
right.
3 main events?
200 fly, 400 IM, 500 free.
Wow. I remember
Yeah.
when we went to NCSAs every year, you always had the 2 fly, 500 free double on the
Yep.
first day of the meet, prelims
Right.
and finals.
Yep.
You always battled your way through that. It was always pretty impressive. Um, so talk about NCAA's. Obviously, their big meet for most teams is their conference meet, how well they finish in conference, and then obviously the upper echelon qualifies for the NCAA championships. You explain A cuts versus B cuts.
Right. So A cuts are, I'm not too sure on how they calculate it, but A cuts, if a swimmer during the season goes an A cut, they're automatically invited to the NCAA meet. And then B cuts are slower than the A cuts, usually by quite a bit. And then the NCAA fills the rest of the spots they have in each event with people that have qualified with the B cut.
Gotcha.
And I think for female, I think like 37 people are invited back, and then for males, I think it's like 29 per event. I don't know. There's like it's like an average that they have to work out.
Sure.
And then so there's a cutoff. But
Now,
if you get an A cut in one event, and then if you qualify a B cut for another event, you can swim that event at the meet because you have an A cut.
gotcha. Did you ever qualify for NCAAs?
I did not.
How close did you get?
My sophomore year, I was 30th. The cutoff was 29th, and I missed it by 1200ths of a second.
Interesting. So how?
Michael, can I ask you a question before Brian asks that question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
So, Michael, that happened your sophomore year. Did you go faster your junior year?
I did not. I haven't gone that time since.
I thought you went faster your junior year in the 400. Or you finished higher at Big Tens your junior year.
Right.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, because my freshman year, I was 9th with a 346.0. My sophomore year, I believe I was 4th, was a 344.0. And then my junior year at Big Tens, I was like 6th with a 355.5. And then this year I was 4th with a 355.5. Or 345.5.
345.
Yeah, 345.
Yeah.
345.0. Sorry. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, these guys are probably a little tired of hearing from me, so I'm going to open it up to you guys. Just raise your hand or throw me a note in the chat, and I will open up for some questions from our Bullets athletes.
Can I ask him a question first before you answer an
dig in.
athlete's one?
Coach, absolutely.
Michael,
Yes.
just so they don't think we make up these sets out of nowhere. What was your favorite and least favorite set you did when you were on the Bullets?
Favorite set was probably 5 400 IMs, 5 300 IMs, 5 200 IMs. The first 2 of each round were drill, and the last 3 were best average. And then my least favorite set, it's probably my least favorite set because I've never been able to actually do it, but it was like the boomerang set where it was like a 425, 450, 475, 500, and then like I don't know, it was like varying distances, but like it's like a 10,000 yard practice or something like that.
Where we went the 450,
Yeah.
100, 350, 375,
Yeah.
400. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, then the FML is always a classic. If anybody's ever
That
done
means
that.
forget my life.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's done that in here.
Explain what that set is.
So like this is a set that like was kind of a challenge like that I heard about my 8th grade year. And I think I did it my freshman year or my 8th. I don't remember what year I first did it. But I did it's 4 rounds of 3 200s, a 400 IM and a mile. And like the 200s are IM by round and they're descend. And then the 400 IMs are descend by round and the miles are descend by round.
I think we
Sounds
did
fun.
that. I believe
Yeah.
I believe Michael finished it 3. We did it 4 times.
Right.
I think you finished it 3. Finished it
Right.
meaning completed it correctly. He always finished it, but actually descended everything.
Right.
3 times.
Right. I'm still waiting for my shirt, by the way. Okay. All right.
Athletes, any questions? Nothing? We covered everything? I'm looking to see if any hands are up. Oh, there we go. Haley Volchak. I'm unmuting you, I think. Have at it, Haley.
Okay. Hi. What are you
Hi.
doing to stay in shape?
Currently, so my eligibility is ended. So technically I'm a swimmer. I'm no longer a swimmer. So now like I'm not swimming anymore, but I've been running a lot, doing some body weight stuff, a little bit of abs. That's really about it. I mean, there's no, just with everything going on, there's no gyms open right now, so that's what I've been having to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Who else, guys? Well, I'll ask you a question, Michael. Now that you're have you graduated?
Kale's got his hand up.
Kale's got one.
Oh, gotcha. Go ahead, Kale.
What was like your first week of like college, like arriving there? Just so I'm like prepared for.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was pretty scary. I mean, you're in a completely new place. It's like probably your first time like being away from your parents for an extended period of time. I don't know. It's like you just gotta take it one day at a time, one class at a time. Make sure you like. I think. I mean, I don't know how it'll work whenever you go, but we had to arrive on campus like a week before classes start, and they did that so like the freshmen could get used to campus and know where everything is and everything. So if you can do that, I would suggest doing that so you can learn where all of your classes are and stuff. But just take it one day at a time.
And like for practice as well, did
Yeah.
you like kind of hide in the back or try to like establish dominance or something?
I don't know.
Next year.
There was a lot of big personalities on the team my freshman year. So I kind of like the first like month, I kind of just like stayed in the middle of the pack, didn't like lay low, didn't really do anything. But then like once I kind of got used to the team and like actually knew everybody, I started trying to lead the lane and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to lead a lane. Like I remember this past year, anytime a freshman wanted to lead a lane, like we let him. And either the freshman does it or he doesn't do it, and he gets made fun of a little bit, but it happens.
Thank you.
Right. Anybody else?
You got one in the queue.
I'm not seeing it. Hold on. I got what?
There's someone with their hand up.
Where?
In the, it's,
Well, just go ahead and unmute yourself and talk. I'm not seeing it.
Hello.
What's up, Braden?
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
It's did you like bullets more or college? Just like swimming wise.
Swimming wise?
Have a better season college or like club?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna say I like college swimming more. And I'm gonna say that because I've matured more and I've learned more about the sport of swimming. So I kind of understood more of what the coaches were trying to get out of a practice. And I'm not saying that like I didn't understand that when I was in high school on the bullets, but I understand it more now, which has made it more enjoyable for me. So I'd say college swimming.
Yeah,
Sure.
that makes sense. Thank
It's a
you.
natural process. So now, are you graduating this spring?
No, I have to take a fifth year. I
Okay.
changed my majors after sophomore year. So I have to take a fifth year.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going to run out of time here in a second. I want to thank Michael for joining us. It's been very pleasurable. Remind you guys, next week, we're going to have Amanda Moran on, and she's going to talk a little bit about NAIA swimming. It's another level of college swimming. Next week's is going to be at 5 o'clock, and we will not have a time limit on our Zooms next week. So we have a different Zoom account to be able to use next week. So I am going to unmute everybody. Please say thank you to Michael. I thought I unmuted.
Thank you.
Of course,
Thanks,
yes.
Michael.